When two power-driven vessels are crossing so as to avoid risk of collision, the vessels which has the other on her own starboard side shall keep out of the way and shall, if the circumstances of the case admit, avoid crossing ahead of the other vessel. Meaning, this situation would frequently arise and it is always better to avoid close quarter situation and go right around the stern of the other vessels rather than cross ahead of the other vessel. Of course, going around the stern may not be practical at all times, but if the situation permits, then it should be followed if the crossing would result in small CPA. Every vessel which is directed to keep out of the way of the other vessels shall, so far as possible, take early and substantial action to keep well clear. Meaning, giveaway vessels should take action well on time, estimate the speed of approach between the two vessels, estimate the approximate time interval and then take action. Do not take late action, since this would make the stand-on vessels apprehensive and she may then take an action which would be detrimental to both vessels. Where one of the two vessels is to keep out of the way of the other, shall keep her course at speed. Meaning, as long as the gateway vessels take an action well in time, there is no problem and the stand-on vessels follow the above rule. And the stand-on vessels is required not to take action 1, but it does not mean that she would not be alert and monitor the situation. The latter vessels may however take action to avoid collision by her maneuver alone, as soon as it becomes apparent to her that the vessels required to keep out of the way is not taking appropriate actions in accordance with these rules. Meaning, the watchkeeper on the stand-on vessels has to be alert and should have been monitoring the situations as it developed. His plan of action to evasive action should be ready at all instances, since he would have to take evasive action if the gateway vessels fail to take action or the action is not sufficient to clear impending danger. When, from any cause, the vessel is required to keep her course and speed, finds himself to close the collision cannot be avoided by the action of the gateway vessels alone. She shall take all such action as will best aid to avoid collision. Meaning, the action that the stand-on vessels finally takes to avoid the situation depends on what is the nature of the action of the gateway vessel. If the action is insufficient to clear the close quarter situation, then the stand-on vessels has to take action which will get the two ships safely away from each other. A power-driven vessels which take actions in crossing situations in accordance with subparagraph A2 of these rules to avoid collision with other power-driven vessels shall, if the circumstances of the case admit, not alter course to port for a vessels on her own port side. Meaning, the action that the stand-on vessels take should not develop into a catastrophe. Rather, it should enhance the clearing action. However, the advice is not to alter course to port for a gateway vessels which is on her port side. But if the recommendation of the situation demands, please refer to Rule 2 and take a well-planned decision which may deviate from the above rule. This rule does not relieve the gateway vessels of her obligation to keep out of the way. Meaning, just because the stand-on vessels has been forced to take action does not mean that the gateway vessels has passed the buck to the stand-on vessel. She is still obligated as per the rules to keep out of the way.